I'm John Suder, and this is my co-host, Bart Mroz, and this is the Playbook Podcast from Agency Focus. All right, Bart, I want to start with a picture, and I think many listeners will recognize it immediately. Here's the picture. It's 2 o'clock on a Thursday. Somebody on your team spent a full day or night building a slide deck. You get to the Zoom call with your client. 2 other people have their cameras off. They're clearly on Slack or doing something else. Your team walks through the results, charts, numbers, and a slide that says key learnings with basically nothing on it. 45 minutes later, someone says, "This is great, very helpful." And then nothing changes. That, my friends, is the quarterly business review, the QBR. And Bart, you wrote something about that I think is going to make a lot of agency owners a little uncomfortable. You said this, and I love it. The QBR isn't a meeting. It's a confession. Why don't you tell us what you mean by that?
Yeah. So think about what QBR actually is, right? You sit down once every 3 months and try to catch up on everything you should be noticing about your client's business. New things doing, problems that came up, money that moved, a feeling they had but never said out loud. And the question I always ask is, why are you only catching this stuff 4 times a year? If you find out about QBR that your client launches a new product, you missed it. You missed it for 3 months. And now you're sitting in a meeting pretending we're on top of it, which is, it's silly in itself. That's a confession. The QBR says, we're not paying attention. We put all our attention into one meeting on the calendar, and we call it strategy.
Okay, so it's not the meeting itself that's the problem. It's what the meeting reveals about everything that has happened before it. Is that correct?
Exactly. This meeting is just proof. The problem is in the 89 days before it.
All right, so I want to make sure I understand this, because I think some people are listening and going to say, "But Bart, I do my QBR really well. I spend time on it. My clients love it." Is the issue the QBR itself, or what we're using it as a replacement for?
Both, honestly. Look, check in with your client once a quarter is not a bad thing. The problem is when that check-in is happening. The only time anyone is really paying attention. When the whole team has their head down, doing the work, nobody's listening, and then once a quarter, you try to catch everything at once. You can't do that. The moment is gone. The client already made a decision about your silence. You show up 3 months later with a deck. It's just too late.
It's too late. I thought something up in your writing that I did not expect. Will Guidara's book, Unreasonable Hospitality, which I hear has been making the rounds, the story of how he turned 11 Madison Park into the best restaurant in the world. What on God's green earth does a restaurant have to do with running an agency?
In reality, we're in the hospitality business. We just are. So most people read the book and they focus on the big stories, the surprise moments. The waiter overhears a tourist, so they never had a hot dog from a New York streetcar. And the restaurant goes and gets them one, all in the house, mid-dinner. People love the stories, and agencies try to copy them. Let's do something special for the client, a gift, a surprise. And it's sort of what the Bear review of the show is actually based on.
Right. Yeah.
The big whole thing. Mm-hmm. Right. That's the whole but that's not real lesson in any of those things.
So what's the real lesson?
The lesson is that those moments only happen because the whole team is listening all the time. Not just manager, not just the head waiter. The server hears something. Person who pours the water hears something. The person who takes the plates away, they all catch some small things all night, every table, every shift. Nobody at the restaurant says, we'll check in our guest at the end of the quarter. It was always happening the whole time. And part of the end, we're going back to Bear thing now. It's sort of the Forks episode of the Bear.
Mm-hmm. So wait, I like that one part you just said. Nobody at the restaurant says, we'll check in with our guests at the end of the quarter. This thing is always happening all the time. The whole team is a part of it. So that's what you're saying. So the magic moment, the hot dog, the surprise, that's actually just the end result of everyone paying attention, correct?
Right. The moment is easy when you have the system. The moment is impossible without it. And when I think about agencies, the listening system is two people, the account lead and maybe the founder. That's it. Everyone else just does the work. They don't think it's their job to notice things.
Not my job. And that's a huge gap.
Oh yeah. It's a humongous gap. Humongous, ginormous. It's one of those gaps.
Quadrillion.
Quadrillion? Like
quadrillion?
Big, giant, just something.
It's a big gap.
It's a big gap because the junior designer is in the files every day. The project manager is in every call. They hear things, they see things, but nobody told them it was their job to say something, so they don't. And the signal just dies every single day quietly.
It's a little painful to hear because I think it's true for a lot of shops. How much is just walking out the door every week because nobody thought it was their job to flag it? Not my job.
A lot. And the clients feel it. They don't always say it, but they feel it. They stop believing you're really paying attention to their business. And that's when they start looking around.
And that's where the churn comes from.
And they churn. Not because you did bad work, because you felt like you're stuck caring.
It's the caring. You call this a democracy problem? I want to unpack that. What do you mean by that?
So when listening is only the job of one or two people at a time, the account lead, the founder, you're build a tiny group that holds all the attention. Everyone is just as a task. The designer sees the scope, go past what was agreed, says nothing, not my job. The project manager hears the client mention the new thing they're working on, lets it go, not my job. The strategist feels something is off on a call, assumes someone senior already knows it, not my job. Then information dies every single time and nobody's fault because you never told them it was their job.
So basically in this dynamic, it's everyone thinks it's someone else's job. So what's the fix? You can't just tell everyone, hey guys, let's all pay attention. Because then I think the opposite can happen, right?
No, that doesn't work. And in reality, we are on the hospitality business. You need two things. First, you have to tell people what to look for. A client mentions a new project they're thinking about, that's a signal. The scope is going past what you agreed to, that's a signal. Someone sounds frustrated on the call, that's a signal. You have to name these things out loud. People don't know what they're catching. Second, you need simple way for them to tell someone. If a designer has to schedule a meeting to raise something, they won't. It has to be frictionless. One place, a Slack channel, a field in your project tool, drop it in when you catch it while still fresh. That's the whole system. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Right. I like that part where there has to be a repository or something where this information is collected. It's not like stop, put the bricks on, everybody gather, let's have a powwow. But from the design side, I would love that if there was a Slack channel that said, name it something, whatever it is, pain points. That hey, listen, Ajax is having a problem, or Ajax just released a new widget. I don't know if you guys do that. So you're building listeners and not just a team of doers. Keep going.
Correct. That's it. Every person who touches the client is part of the sensing system, right? Not just the people at the top. And when you do that, when the whole team is catching things every week, you walk into a meeting already knowing what matters. You're not trying to catch you up. You're reviewing what is already caught.
Right. So that's a completely different energy when you walk into the room or the Zoom. You're not presenting, you're designing because you've already reviewed that pain point channel or whatever that tool or whatever the bucket system that you have created to gather this information.
Exactly. Which brings me to what I think the meeting should actually be.
All right. So you made the case that the QBR as we know it is broken. It's busted. But I think the honest question people are going to ask right now is, What do I replace it with? Because clients expect these. I mean, I think in a lot of ways, in a weird way, it's part of showing how we do our job, but it's like, well, this is what we're paying for, this report, which is wrong,
Is it though?
but I get it, but keep going.
But is it down? Is it actually down?
Well, that's the stigma, I guess, we're trying to dispel here.
Exactly. So first, the reporting part of QBR can die, literally die. Put a live dashboard in front of a client, numbers, results, what's working. They can look at it any day. You don't need to spend a half day building slides and data and making this meeting as hey, look, here's pretty charts.
Right. For stuff that's already there.
Yep.
All right. So you say kill the deck, not kill the meeting, but kill the deck?
Kill the deck, or at least kill it as the main event. What replaces it is a working session. And I do it monthly, not quarterly, where the only job is to make real decisions. Not here's what we did, but we think you should move money from this channel to that one. Here's what we think will happen. Here's what's wrong about it. If that doesn't work, what do you want to do?
So that's a very different conversation. That sounds more proactive than a dog and pony of here's what we've done in the last month. It's like, it's almost saying we kept in touch. We've been doing these things behind the scenes, and we see the data coming through live, not just every 90 days. It's a very different conversation.
Absolutely. It has to be a very different conversation. It has to be, right? And it's a little scary at first because you're putting a real call on the table. You might be wrong, but that's the point. That's what the client actually wants from you, not a report, a call.
Right. So I think we're describing here is the difference between a vendor and a partner. A vendor shows you what happens. A partner tells you or helps you decide what to do next. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And most agencies say they want to be a partner, but they show up with a deck of what happened. Can't say you're a partner and then act like a vendor.
Yeah. So the monthly session is instead of the QBR, or is it in addition to it? Like, would you keep the QBR and schedule these monthly sessions as well?
No, instead of it. You do a monthly working session, use a live dashboard for numbers, the quarterly moment. If you want to keep it, becomes a bigger check, not a performance, just a step back to look at the full picture. Are you going in the right direction? Does anything big need to change? But the heavy work, the real decision happens monthly. And it's fast because your whole team has to be catching signals all month, not starting from nothing.
I like what you said there about it's not a performance. So you've done away with the deck. You've done with the dog and pony, as we used to call it. You've given the whole team a job promotion. Placed a quarterly show with a monthly conversation that ends in a decision. That's actually a pretty clean swap.
Yeah, it totally is. And it's not even harder. It's easier because you're not spending a full day on slides. You're spending the time actually thinking about the client's business.
Yeah, you're not spending all that time doing the meeting prep and, prepping the meaningless data that probably everybody already knows. All right. So before we wrap, I want to ask you something honest. If the QBR is so broken, why do agencies keep doing it? If you ran your agency for 13, you ran Sumo Heavy for 13 years before you sold it. Why did it take so long to figure this out?
Because QBRs protect the agency, not the client. That agency. It is the agency. It lets you be busy, look careful, look like you did a lot of work, everybody real calm that you might be wrong about. You show your work, the client nods, bring us home, looking good.
Right.
You feel like you did something.
And by everybody goes home. It's safe.
It's very safe. And I did it for years and I thought I was doing well. Nice decks, good data, clients seemed happy. And then I lost clients. And I thought we were locked in. Good clients. And when I went back and thought about it, why? It was always the same thing. It stopped believing we were paying attention to their business, not our service, their business. You can have a great work and still a client because they feel like you stop caring about them.
Let's repeat that. You could have great work and still lose a client because they felt like you stopped caring about them. And no amount of sliding is ever going to fix that.
No amount of slides. I mean, but do we really want to be in slides world?
No.
The product's not a deck. The product is not the report. The product's not attention. Real attention every day from everyone. If you do that, if the whole team is listening, always, you're never sitting in a 2:00 Zoom watching two cameras stay off while you talk about a chart nobody asked for.
That's awesome. All right, Bart, this is exactly the kind of thing I love talking about on this show. It sounds simple when you say it, but it cuts pretty deep. Get on university, kill the deck, build the system, make a real call. Bart, where can people find your writing if they want to hear more of this kind of opinion?
Oh, it's very opinionated, my friend, but it's the playbook. It goes out every Tuesday. You can find it at playbook.agencyfocus.xyz. We read about how to actually run an agency, not the theory, but the real stuff.
But the real stuff. Perfect. We'll link it in the show notes. Bart, thank you. This was excellent.
Oh, I tried to do my best, my friend.
You're done good. All right. The Playbook Podcast is produced by Agency Focus. New episodes every week. Subscribe where you listen and find the newsletter at playbook.agencyfocus.xyz. Again, links are in the show notes. See you, Bart.
See ya.
See you all next week.
What do you do now,